got you.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this nice cold Thursday morning. Today we have Jeff Moser with Advantage Home Inspections. He is out in the Lake Country area. I use him a lot and have been for years. He's actually really, really good with new agents and new buyers because he explains everything very, very well when he goes through. He's helped save a couple of deals for me, which I truly, truly appreciate. Just the way he talks to the buyers and, brings forth his message on what's wrong with the house or what is potentially wrong. And the one thing that he says all the time that I just love is, anything can be fixed. It just depends on how much money you want to spend. So, Jeff Moser, take it away.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Connie. And just a little background of my experience. I'm entering my 18th year doing home inspections. I do upwards about 400 per year. I do commercial, residential, investment properties, a little bit of everything. I've also a broker builder for about 22, 23 years. I don't do much on a brokerage side. You guys work way too many hours and way too long for my taste. That's why I like this end of the business. But I understand both ends of the deal, so it's easy for me to talk to the clients, and understand both sides. I know basically you guys are coming.
Oh, did we lose him?
Unmute Jeff, please.
Oh,
Janine,
here.
I think you have to unmute him.
Okay, I did. Okay.
Still here?
Jeff, are you back? There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just kind of wanted to go over a little bit, doing the Zoom thing again. This is I tried last night, and my kids even tried to set me up with how to do a presentation on here. I've got some pictures that I wanted to show, but I don't know how to get them on here. I'm trying to figure this out. So kind of bear with me. I just typically when I do this presentation in person, it's a lot easier. I just kind of start talking, start winging it. If you have questions, throw them out. I typically will show you a copy of a live inspection that I've done and walk you through the process, how we go. I just can't do that with this because I don't know how to do it.
So on the bottom, Jeff, there's a green button that says share screen.
Okay.
When you want to share your screen on the computer, all you do is tap that, and then it'll allow you to click on what you want to share. And Janine and I struggle with it every week, so don't worry about
don't
fumbling
worry about
a little bit.
There's no shaming. No.
Oh,
Hey, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you see?
Your screen.
What do you see?
We see your inspector
presentation. Yeah, just click on it. Yeah.
Click on what?
Bad roof.
I'm trying to figure this out.
It's okay.
So what do I do? Oops. Are you guys still there?
Yep.
How much time you guys got?
All day, honey.
I'm trying to figure this. Okay, so if I get out of here, what do you see right now? I don't see anything.
Bad roof. We see a very bad roof.
Okay. I guess I got here. So I just kind of, Connie kind of asked, let's go through the, 4 or 5 things that, when you're coming into a house with a new client, some things that kind of be points to, if you notice right away, hey, this is something that's not a good thing. That are pretty easy to look at and see right off the bat. And the picture I've got right now is bad roof shingles. Those are curling, they're deteriorated. You can generally see, if they're this bad, you can see these from the ground. And that's just are you guys seeing that too then?
Yep.
The new one. So that's a different, it's a cupping of the roof shingles. Oops, let me turn my phone off. I got ESPN update. So these are things, if you see something like this from the ground, right away, hey, this roof is bad, it's done, it's past its useful life expectancy, it's going to be a major issue. That's a ground shot. So that's pretty obvious. Any questions on that? Again, I'm just kind of going through.
So this is something too, when you guys are showing houses, I mean, that's the one thing that I kind of try to do is take an exterior snapshot, if you will. And some of those things you can visually notice right away. And you may want to say to your buyers, by the looks of the roof, it looks like there might be some curling. But let's see what the condition report states, but let's make note of that when we're going through the rest of the house, right?
It's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what I will do before we leave the meeting, I want to give you all my cell phone number. Please take that down, and especially when you're getting going, you're starting to show your first houses to clients. And if you have any questions, the best way to get a hold of me, especially during the day, is just to text me. When I'm with a client, when I'm working with a client in the inspection, I don't answer my phone. Obviously, out of respect for the client, it's their time, but I can text back real quick. And I've got a lot of agents that will say, "Hey, we're at a showing right now, and this is a concern I might have," or take a snapshot picture of it and text it to me, and I can give you an opinion right away of, "Hey, that's something that may be a concern," or "No, that's pretty normal." But I have a lot of agents do that for me, and it really helps out you guys when you're on the road. But the roof is one thing you can see, from the ground pretty easy. You're not going to obviously get up on the roof. The other big ticket items are chimneys. You can see from this picture the difference. Obviously, the one on the left before, it's flaky and loose bricks. Don't expect you obviously to get binoculars out, look at these things real clearly. But this is something that's, you walk by and you see enough of them, you see, yeah, that's pretty obvious. Here's another one. Let's see how it's cracked up here. And
Actually,
then,
Jeff, we can't see the chimney.
oh, you
It's still
can't?
on the roof picture.
Yeah. Just scroll
Still on our
down to
picture.
your chimney.
Why the heck? That's,
It looks like it's locked down. Also, keep in mind, when you're going through and showing houses, if you
Oh,
do
here.
not have buyer agency with your buyers, you cannot mention anything about that house. You can only hand over the real estate condition report. So once again, you have to have a signed buyer agency if you're giving your opinion about that house. So that's another reason why we have to have signed buyer agency when we are showing houses.
Can you see the chimney now?
No.
What the heck?
Oh, you're
Anybody?
still on that bad roof. I saw your cursor, move it over to the far right where it says bad roof cupping, and they just scroll down and hit chimney.
Did that?
Oh, way over, because I can see where your cursor is.
I don't have any idea what I'm doing.
Okay.
You still can't see the chimney?
Mm-mm.
Can you see I just switched to basement walls?
Nope.
What the heck? Let me try this again. Still nothing.
Mm-mm. Maybe go off share screen and then go back into it.
You might have hit screenshot as well. It looks like none of the icons were clicking.
That's probably what happened. There. No.
Now can you see chimneys?
Now we see you.
Okay, this is okay. Wait a minute. Share screen. Huh.
So Connie, if you're helping somebody with buyer agency, then it's okay to talk about a condition, right?
Yes, you have to have a signed buyer agency in order to share any information about that house.
But if
Because
you're
keep in
helping an
mind, if you-
agent and pitching in, spelling them, then it's okay to act as a buyer agent.
Do you have a signed buyer agency?
So, yes, assuming the person you're helping has a signed buyer agency.
I would be
Okay, can't assume
careful
anything.
with that. Yeah, I would be careful with that.
Mhm.
If someone is pinch hitting for me, I basically let them know, my buyers know, that I have someone that's going to be standing in for me, but they're not going to give any opinions on the report.
Okay.
I will have the conversation as the buyer's agent with the inspector after that inspection, and then I will be the person.
Or the showing agent.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but not the person that's pinch hitting.
So keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, and honestly, you guys,
Yes.
I keep my mouth shut pretty much during the entire inspection. So how I present it is, This is your time with your inspector. You do not want to get in the way, and you do not want to be giving any advice. You are not a home inspector. Maybe you are. I don't know. Anybody out there? I don't know. So I always say, I'm going to be here for you. I'm going to be actually working. So I'm going to set myself up at a table, and I want you to follow that home inspector around. If you're brand new, you definitely follow that home inspector around, but I always recommend that you just don't speak and take notes on that inspection. You know, look at what the inspector's looking at when they're looking at the HVAC or the chimney. Take notes, but don't offer any opinion, regardless if you're new or not new. And here we go, chimney. I love it.
I have no idea what I did.
Well, it worked.
Well, let's try this again. So this is, an obvious picture of a bad chimney compared to a good chimney. And these are things, again, that you can visually see from the ground. You see that. So yeah, there's going to be a concern with the chimney. It's another thing just to add to the plate when you're going through the home. See if I can switch over to, did you get the next one? Oh, okay, we're back on track. So that's another bad chimney. Now we're getting into some siding issues. You know, if you see different colored siding like this, the first question is why? And those are things that, that I would look at further and try and figure out, could have just been two different lots. Typically there was some damage behind this and they had to replace it. What happened, why? There's things to look at to find that out. So that's all exterior, easy exterior stuff to see when you're walking around. By no means do they expect you to be an inspection, but obviously the more that you know going in, the better and more valuable you are to your client. Another big ticket item, once you get inside, oops, this is pretty small. Can you
Jeff, I have a question in regards to that siding.
Mhm.
You mentioned the two-tone.
Mhm.
What about the little slits in between the
Like here?
airway?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all. That's a great question. That's a perfect thing. Those are gaps in there. That leads me to believe this has all been replaced. So why has it been replaced? And this would be something that would not be a good thing. This should be fixed.
Okay, because moisture can get in or
Correct. Yep. Anything,
like that? Okay.
especially in Wisconsin, the weather that we get, you get blowing rains, you get blowing snow, and it all gets in behind these cracks, and it can do damage, behind it.
Okay.
So, yeah, great question. But yeah, things like that. And these are all things that I would talk to the client with. I'd take pictures of this. I point these out to the client. And again, one of the things that Connie mentioned that I take to heart, because again, I've been on both sides, is it's all presentation to the client. You'll get people out there that freak them out, go, oh my God, look at this. No, you keep an even demeanor, talk about things, everything can be fixed. Just a matter of who's going to do it and who's going to pay for it. But I've never been in a situation in any home in all the years I've been doing that, something just can't be fixed unless it's a city of Milwaukee property and we have to demo it, but that's a whole different story. So it's just a matter of, keeping the buyer at ease and walking them through. Some things are just too big that they don't want to handle and then you walk away. But, 99% of the time, you just have to work with them.
I have a question on the chimneys.
Mhm.
We've had a couple with the chimney cap being an issue.
Sure.
Is that something that you're able to see?
So that's a great point. So what I do, I mean, I really love to get up on the roof if I can. There's just, that's the best way to see anything is to be right in front of it. Now, obviously, in the weather that we're having in winter, that's just not an option. But what I do is I use a drone, and I've got a high quality drone. It's got a 4K camera on it. I get very close. I can get within a foot or two of the top, and I will drone the roof. I will drone the chimney from the top down. Very close pictures of the cap, of the chase, of the flashing. Whatever I can see. So yeah, so that's an important part. And the cap can be an issue, if it's cracked and you get the snow sitting up there and it melts and it comes through. I'm dealing with that actually from an inspection yesterday. I don't have the pictures here, but I have the inspection report. That it was I couldn't see the chimney. It looked fine from on top. A couple of cracks from the drone. Went inside, went into the attic, and there was moisture coming down both sides of the chase in the attic. So it's you want to see every inch you can get to. So, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Did you get to the basement now?
Yep.
Yes, ooh.
So, big ticket item, and it happens in these areas is basement foundations. This is a concrete block foundation. These basements typically have a more concerns than a poured wall basement. So you can see the concrete blocks, but the horizontal cracks here, these are the ones that are most damaging. Any horizontal crack has a tendency to move backwards and forwards, push out or push in. So these are the ones you really want to be aware of. If you're walking down a basement that's visible, if you see horizontal cracks like this, that's going to be a concern. Vertical cracks, step cracks, typically aren't that big of a deal. Okay. When I get down and start evaluating the basement, I've got a 4-foot level. I do measurements on them. I've got moisture detectors to detect, up to 3 inches deep into any surface if there's moisture in them. But the horizontal crack here, basically when it's between like the 5th and 6th block down, that's your freeze line. So that's where you don't want to see horizontal cracks. Down low or up on top, it's usually not as big of a deal. And sometimes they're just small shrinkage cracks. When they built the basement, the mortar in them didn't have time to dry properly. They backfilled it. There's a little bit of pushing on the wall, and there's a little crack happened. But that's horizontal ones are right away. And I've got agents all the time. They'll take pictures of them, send them to me, and I'll say, I can tell pretty closely, if it's going to be an issue or not. When you're looking at the crack, when you want to get kind of a close up, if you look at the crack and it's really sharp, the edges of the cracks are sharp, that's fresh. If it's kind of rounded, that's an older crack. It's been there, it's weathered. Typically the wall hasn't moved in ages. So all little things to look at. And again, we don't expect you to be an expert on this stuff, but just more information give your buyers from the outset is going to save you and your buyers a lot of time. So
Do people ever paint over or patch up those cracks? And then how do you figure that out?
no, they do very, very much. And in fact, I wish I could bring up the inspection I had yesterday. The wall was off about, and so I'll get to your point. But basically a wall, when it's off plumb, which means straight, a 1/2 inch to 1 inch, and it's around the freeze line or pushing in those areas, that's when it becomes a major concern. And yes, they do all the time. People will paint over them. They'll caulk it and paint over it and think, oh, it's fixed. Nobody's going to catch this. And this all comes from basically being experienced in the industry. When you look at them up, when you walk by those wall like that up close, you'll see, oh, it looks fine, no big deal. When you take about 15 feet step back and you look, you'll see like the normal gaps here that are in the blocks, and also you'll see really larger gaps, and that means when you walk back, it's really clear. God, I wish I could bring up from yesterday's report, but they do that all the time. I never say that people are trying to hide stuff, but they do. When you come downstairs and you see a base wall freshly painted, you always ask yourself why. I like to give people the benefit of the doubt and say, hey, they're just trying to make their house look nice and clean for people. But on the other hand, what are they trying to hide? Moisture stains, mold, cracks. Yeah, it's all things that I look at very closely. And then you also get people that finish their basements off and you can't see the walls. Well, what do you do then? Unfortunately, we can't see, behind walls. But there are telltale signs. If they have windows in there, look at how far the wall's been built out from the window. You can go up to the window to the side and you'll see, hey, it's been, this far built out, or is it this far built out? If it's over 1 foot and the wall's built out that far, well, why did they do that? Was the wall moving? Was it braced before? Those things. I've walked into places and you walk downstairs and they finished the basement off and they put glass block windows, and I look at the window and the window's a little cockeyed. Well, that's not right. You usually wouldn't look and go, oh, it was just installed wrong. Well, no, we ended up looking further. I had concerns. They opened the wall up. The wall was off almost 3 inches, and the wall was built out about 13 inches. It was a flipper, by the way, and ended up costing him, because he had to not only fix the basement walls and then put the walls how they were. And it was almost like a $27,000 hit.
Ugh.
Yeah. So he didn't like me, which I don't care. I'm there for you and for the buyers. And I don't really care what other people
Whenever
think.
you're done, if you want to walk through and give me ideas.
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
So basement's a big kicker item, and I said, especially when you're getting going. Again, everybody's got different levels of experience of this stuff. The more you see, the more you learn. But if you have any question when you're in your house, and sometimes if it's just you'll see a wall and maybe you just want to walk away from that one and save your buyers the hassle. But take my number, send me pictures, send me questions when you're on site.
I have a question.
Yes.
I know that if you point something out like that, a buyer is going to say, well, like, one, what's the fix? And two, what's the cost?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
a lot.
So typically and that's something that I don't know how far you guys get in with that, but it's something that it's got to be evaluated. This is a wall that really is going to need to be evaluated by a professional, and then they will determine.
I had it all ready for her. Oh, thank you.
If it does need to be braced or not. Typically, if it's between a ½ inch and an inch off plumb, and it's a bowing at the freeze line, they'll install steel columns like every 32 inches, and they're about $250 a piece to install. So if you're doing one wall that's a 20-foot wall, you could be cut several $1,000s. Sometimes it's just one wall. Sometimes it's two. Sometimes it's the whole basement. It could be a $10,000, $12,000 fix. If it gets to be where it's over an inch and depends on where it's bowing, they might have to excavate outside and bring the wall in and brace. And then you're talking even more money. So typically it's not a small or inexpensive fix, but once it's done correctly, and typically the better companies out there will offer a 20-year warranty with the work, the wall is stronger than it's ever been. And you're going to go into homes that have the brace and you'll see them already installed. And in a base, your client's going to go kind of freak out and go, "Oh my God, what happened here?" Assure them, if this was done properly, this wall is now 125% stronger than it ever was before. So, and that's another thing too. Take my number, send me pictures. Say, "Hey, I'm here with a client. I haven't seen this before. What is it, or what do you think?" And I'll make sure put your client at ease a little more. I would much rather have a basement. Walk into a room that the basement's already been braced than have one that's kind of looking shabby. I wholeheartedly, basements are stronger than they've ever been. So here's a couple. Can you see?
And guys, sorry. So if I'm at a home inspection and the inspector is saying, we need to have this evaluated, leave it at that. You need to have it evaluated because they're telling you for a reason. So I never get into a whole lot after that. I just say, let's get a basement person in here and have them take a look at it. The inspector will recommend that in the report, and that's that, right?
Correct. Yeah, that's exactly right. We're not, our roles as home inspectors, we're not experts at anything, but we should be very knowledgeable in everything. That's kind of our job. Now my background being a builder, being in this industry for so long, I can pretty much tell. I still have to word it correctly. We're not by any means code inspectors. We cannot cite codes. Only the city employees that can enforce the codes are allowed to cite them. So if an inspector comes in and says, "Hey, that's a code violation," they can lose their license. All we need to do is reword it. Hey, it's a safety issue. It's not up to today's standards. So it means the same thing. You just reword it. But and like I said, with the basement walls especially, I'll you put in the report, yes, this should be inspected or evaluated by a licensed basement contractor and repaired as they deem necessary. We can't tell you what it has to be. And there's guys out there that, "Oh yeah, I'm cool. I know what I'm talking about. I'm going to show you I'm a big shot. And no, this has to be done this way, this way." No, even though you may know it, you want to defer that to a professional that's going to come in and give you the final report. And most of the basement guys, they won't charge to come out to do the evaluation because they will also bid the work. And there's some very, very good companies out there that I would recommend. I'm sure, Connie, you guys have a list of of, 2 or 3 companies that you like to use. And there's a couple guys out there that I wouldn't use. So that they try and oversell you. I've been in basements where I'm doing inspection and it's all 4 walls have been braced, and I'll still measure them and there's nothing wrong with them. And I find out that it was a little old lady that was selling her house and somebody came in, knocked on her door, blah, blah, and sold her a $17,000 job that she didn't need. And those are people I want to go punch because that's unethical and that's not right. So.
Can you provide us who you would recommend?
Well, there's the 3 companies that I would recommend most are Detached, Accurate, and then Vered. So I've worked with them all. I've actually spent a day with each one of them, learning their procedures, learning how they do things, how they evaluate on my own time, just to be more informed of how they, what to look for and stuff. But they're companies that have been around a very long time. They have very good reputation. So if we do an inspection and something is concerned with the base of walls, we have them come out. Pretty much any agent out there is going to see who did the report and not fight it, because they know it's a very respected company. And that's what you want. You don't want the hassle of somebody coming out there and going, well, no, my guy says he really doesn't want this. Use a good company that's known. Is that good?
There was a great question. Let's see. If you see these types of problems, why would I want a client to buy it? Well, a lot of these problems can be fixed. So instead of panicking and walking away, I say if there is a recommendation that a basement specialist comes out to evaluate, get that specialist out there. And honestly, most things can be fixed. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the buyer is going to be paying for that repair. That's something that you're going to address on the home inspection amendment. So more so than not, there are going to be issues with any house that you sell, and you have to prepare your buyer. No house is going to be perfect. Sellers have lived there for a period of time. They're not even aware of some things that are going on. And it doesn't mean that we can't get it to be repaired. So that's kind of how I address it.
That's a great point. And that's what I always, I will relay that to the client as well when we're on the inspection. Everything can be fixed. Don't walk away from a house just because there might be some things that scare them a little bit.
And that's a sign of a good inspector, because you want, Jeff, right? An inspector that's going to communicate with your buyers. That's so key in keeping a deal together. Someone that can actually communicate. That's awesome.
It's all presentation. And I deal with guys that are CEOs down to, a guy who drives a truck for snowplow, whatever. They're all the same, and you treat them all the same. Not one's better than the other or different. They may just have different homes they're buying, but it's all the same process. But that's a great point. Yeah, you don't want to freak anybody out. And hey, everything can be fixed. Everything can be looked at. Let's get the professionals out here first to evaluate, and then we can go from there. So the picture I've got up right now, can you see that's mold? Can you see the one I've got up?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I can't. Okay, so this is a basement, finished area drywall. You walk down, you see this. This is mold. Now we've got to say, without doing an air test or a mold quality test, it's a mold-like substance. Again, been doing this long enough. This is mold. This is an issue. Why is it happening? Why is it down here? It could be where they just had boxes stored here or whatever, tables, and it was blocking this area. It was a little moist and cold and dark downstairs, and it's just this area. Okay, but what's behind it? You'll see mold buildup on basement foundation walls. Down in corners, like over here, you'll see mold build up in corners a lot. And that's just, corners house, you get drainage. That can be easily remedied, easily fixed, easily cleaned. When you get into, can you guys see this?
Yes.
So that's an attic. But you'll see this on also basement ceilings. You'll see mold build up. This is a little more. Black mold and white mold are two different, they're both mold strains. Black mold is the more dangerous type, but they both would need to be properly cleaned and remediated. And this is another area that freaks people out. They walk into a house and they'll see some mold on there. Oh my God, this house has mold. you need to have it looked at, and then, companies come out, they clean it, they remediate it, and they warranty their work. I've seen a lot of this lately, just in the attics, bad ventilation, bad circulation, moisture coming through. It's just this time of year. But again, I also tell them with the calm voice, this can be fixed. It's no big deal. It's not, I don't want to say it's no big deal, because it is, but you want this done properly and professionally.
Jeff, this is Liz. For the mold remediation company, specifically as it relates to the mold on the basement walls, like in those lower corners, do you have any recommendations for either companies or
There's a couple companies that I like to use, and let me preface this too. I have no problem giving referrals out. I know some people don't like it, but I've been in this business so long, I've got a pretty good list of people in almost every trade that I've trusted. I've either used myself or I'll refer it. I've never had any bad comments back. If I refer somebody and I get bad stuff back to me about that company, they're off the list. But I also say too, I'll have no problem giving you names and numbers, but if you guys don't get along or something happens, I'm out. I can't be held responsible for that end of it.
Yes, of course.
but it really hasn't happened, because you surround yourself with good people, and this is you'll find, the market in the southeastern Wisconsin areas, it's a small area. Everybody knows everybody. It's unfortunate, as soon as you get one bad, something happens to you, it gets around really quickly, but when you do something good, it doesn't. So you want to obviously keep good relations. But yeah, I've got names and numbers of a couple companies that I like to use. And again, they're good guys. They come out, they evaluate the situation. They don't charge, but then they will bid the project as well. So did you want, go ahead.
I'm changing the subject, sorry. So what about mildew? Sometimes you go to a basement, you can smell it, but how do you report it if you can't see it?
Yeah. If you can't see it, I mean, you got to, if you, that's a tough one. Mildew is not as really a big of a problem. I mean, mildew you see a lot of in like basement or bathroom windows, sometimes on home windows where it's condensation buildup. You get a dehumidifier on it to clean up the air and see if that would take it away. But mold is the key. Mildew is less of a concern, I guess, health-wise. So, but if you can't see it, there's nothing you can do. So it's just because you can smell something, if it's a bad odor, you want to find out what that odor is and what's making that odor. That's definitely a concern. And then it just either makes more evaluation. We do air quality tests where we take air samples, send them off to a lab and see what it comes back at. So that's another option.
I just Googled it. It said the same health issues exist with mildew as they do with mold.
I don't think I agree with that. But yeah, mildew is a more common area. Mold is more of a breathing health area. Now, if you lick mildew, yeah, if you put your finger on it and lick it, that's going to be one thing. But for breathing in, yeah.
Sorry, I have one more question on mold. With remediation, and I've also had buyers ask this, like, will they guarantee that it's not going to come back?
They'll never guarantee it, but what they do is they spray it down with an antimicrobial solution that prevents the regrowth. But they will never guarantee it will never come back.
Because like if the conditions continue to exist, which cause the mold to grow.
Betsy, you just made an awesome point. Because we find that there is a mold in the attic or solution and they treat it, but what caused it? What was the concern for what made it? That's just like with base and foundation walls. Why did they bow out? What did happen? That's an awesome point. And that's that's exploratory to find out, was there not proper ventilation? Was there not proper insulation in the attic? Things like the bathroom fans weren't vented properly to the exterior. So those are all things too that we want to find out and not only treat the mold, but treat the problem too and take care of what caused it. So yeah, that's a huge point.
So then you're getting other people in there to remedy whatever the root cause was.
One I just did about 2 months ago. It was it was actually for Nick Deutsch's son. I don't know if you guys know him. He's an agent. And it was, I got up in the attic, and it was probably maybe a month and a half ago, but I got up in the attic, and all the nails points were real frosty, and there was actually frost on parts of the roof sheathing. And right away, that's a concern. It could be not enough insulation, not proper ventilation. And it was a fairly new roof that was put on, a couple years old. But there was some mold buildup. So it was a concern. And the seller actually called the roofing company out after it was remediated, called the roofing company out to look at the ventilation because it had a ridge vent in it, which is a top vent. Found out that the ridge vent was faulty. It wasn't breathing properly. So they ended up ripping off the ridge vent, adding more soffit vents, and that cured the problem. So yeah, it got more people involved, and that's just a matter of all of us keeping in contact with what other concerns. Let's get everybody to evaluate what could have been the reason that this happened. Sometimes it's pretty obvious. There's just not enough ventilation in the attic. That's a very key one. Or the bathroom fans, like this one right here, is a bathroom exhaust fan. If this was not attached properly, it would be, it could be blowing moist air from the shower into the roof sheathing. But it's a clear giveaway. But it's a great point you made. Thank you for bringing that up. Anything wrong with that siding? So that's vinyl siding. This is obviously a very extreme case, but you see things like that. What's the reason? This is fiberboard that's just been water damaged, old. Why did it get like this? Those are all concerns that you can see easily from the exterior. Foggy windows. If you'll see in this time of year, you'll see condensation build up because it's really cold outside and it's warm inside. And there's reasons that, just common nature reasons that condensation may be built up. Could be other reasons where, they don't have proper heating or proper ventilation. Maybe they need to have a humidifier, April air system installed. But if the window's fogged up in between the panes of glass, then we have an issue with the window. And these are things you'll see just walking around from the outside or the interior. You'll see good windows. Good ones also see when it's all fogged up. Well, the argon gas has leaked out, the seal's broken somewhere, and the glass should be replaced. So this is little mice droppings. You'll walk around the house and you'll see these in the basement corners or bedroom closet or something, or open up a kitchen cabinet and you'll see these, and that's obviously, okay, there's mice. Where did they come in and how did they get in? And we need to have a discussion about that, because obviously you don't want this in your house. I get a lot of people asking about termites in properties. Wisconsin really doesn't have termites. They're too cold. So it's there is one strain that has been found in Wisconsin. It's in an area of 68th in Wisconsin in Wauwatosa. There's about a 2-block area, and they brought it back and they thought it was from all those homes were kind of built by the same guy back in the 60s, or same company, and it was the lumber they brought in, all for the same project. But termites, you'll get asked that, and just termites are not an issue. But
if you are dealing with a VA loan, they now require to have a termite inspection, even though.
Yeah, you went to my next point there. If you're dealing with a VA loan and a vet, and I do a lot of, me and my family, we do a lot of volunteer work for homeless vets and paralyzed vets and the whole vet community. It's very close to our hearts. But I have a company who's a pest control company called Sons of Ton. And they're a vet-owned company, and they will do the inspections, the termite inspections for veterans for free.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I always relay that. I'll get agents all the time saying, hey, I'm working with on a VA loan. Who do you know does termite inspections? Boom. I give them this company's number. No questions asked. They're great guys, and they look out for their own as well. So yeah, so that's another referral I will definitely hand off to you guys.
Okay, perfect.
But because sometimes the guys will come out and charge you $400 for a vet. Yeah. You don't need it, so that's all. Oops. Okay, here's the next one. So electrical panels. When you're downstairs, you know, it's easy to open up the electrical panel door. If you see fuses like this, that's a no-no. Okay, that's going to automatically be needed to be updated to proper breakers, circuit breakers. Typically, you know, the better agents out there, when they're listing a home, will look at these and say, okay, this needs to go before we even list the home or disclose it, because it's a safety issue. It's all about insurance on these, and there are probably about 2 companies that I know of that will insure houses that have fuses, but their premiums are probably 3 times the cost of what it would cost to update this. So obviously it makes 0 sense to do that. But this is an automatic red flag. And that's an easy one that you guys can look at and just say, you know, if you come across this with a buyer, say, okay, this is going to be this is going to be a concern, and you know, we'll handle it. No big deal.
Can I ask a question? Some of these older homes, especially on the east side of town, have knob and tube wiring. Can you go into that a little bit?
I wish I had a picture on this. Knob and tube wiring is basically cloth wire, and it's attached like a porcelain column that's mounted on in your attic or sometimes your basement ceilings. I just don't have a picture loaded. If you see that, yeah, that is a safety issue as well. Now, it's not illegal to have it. It's not the best way to do it, but it definitely should be addressed. An electrician would have, a licensed electrician would have to come in, and they end up basically rewiring that area that it goes to. And it's a great point, Janine. It's an older homes. You're going to see these typically pre-50s in that range. But a lot of times we'll see them in the attic, and I've got testers to see it. Sometimes you'll see it, but they're not live. They've already rewired that and taken it out of play, but they're still there. So I test those to see if it's actually live wiring. If it's not, if it's already, you know, dead wires, it's no big deal. If it's live wiring, that's another safety issue.
And if they are live wired, the buyers are going to, the insurance company that they're going to be going with is going to ask them if there's knob and tube. And if they say yes, they will have a really hard time getting insurance on that property. FYI, it's happened to me a couple times.
Yeah, great point. So yeah, it goes back to the insurance on the electrical.
Yep.
So same thing. That's a good point. Yeah, but knob and tube wiring. Google it. You'll get pictures of it right away. It's very easy to spot. But typically it's going to be in basements, basement ceilings, and attics, which usually you're not going to go up in an attic unless it's a walk-up attic in an older home, and then you'll see it in the ceilings. So they're little white porcelain columns, almost looks like a film container size, and then you'll see cloth wiring attached to it. So that's all the pictures I have.
So there was a question raised. Wouldn't these types of things have to be disclosed on the seller's property condition report? And do I have access to the seller's condition report if I am not the listing agent or company? Very good question. So if you're showing property, go into MLS and go into the document section, and they should have a condition report. I say should. A lot of them are not on there, which is so frustrating. So before you show a property, if it's not in the documents, call the listing agent and say, I'm going to be showing your house. I'm super excited. And if you could please send me over the condition report prior to my showing. And if there's anything else I need to know, age of mechanicals, all that kind of stuff. If it's not in MLS, ask that listing agent to please send it over. They should disclose things. Again, some don't. Some they aren't aware of it. So good question. Try to get those condition reports over to yourself and your buyers prior to the showing.
And just to tap on that too, if you go into a house that's been flipped, and everybody knows what a flip is, right?
Yeah.
You know, and then they don't have a condition report because nobody's ever lived in the property. There's not going to be one available. It's just going to say, you know, they basically cross it out and they don't fill it in. Some properties you'll go into and the deal fell apart and they have a previous inspection report that they can let you see. That's up to you, obviously, if you want to see it or have your buyer see it. I don't like to see those before inspections that I do because I don't like to be influenced. I'd rather do my own work, and we always can compare things later on. sometimes deals just fall apart for finance reasons and everything was fine. But then, if somebody asks, oh, you want to see the old inspection report, they're always like, well, what happened? Why did it fall apart? So instances there as well. So have you all walked through the process of, when to get the inspection and how to go about it and all that as well?
So as
I
soon
just
as
had a
you,
quick-
I'm sorry, as soon as you have an accepted offer, that is when, as a buyer's agent, you are going to set up that inspection immediately. Like you get the accepted offer, the next phone call is your buyer should be making an appointment with that home inspector. And when they do make that appointment, let the buyers know, hey guys, call me, text me, email me. Let me know what time you have set this inspection up, because then you need to go into MLS and schedule, as if you were going to do a showing, you can drop down on the box as to why this appointment is happening. You put inspection and then give yourself, depending on the size of the house, I always give myself 3 hours. If it's a huge house, maybe more, but 3 hours should cover you. And then you're good to go. Don't wait a couple days to call and get that appointment scheduled, because time is ticking. And if you have to get a roofer over there, let's say that Tom calls out the basement and you need to get Gatish or Verret over there. This all takes time. So quick.
And that's one of the reasons too, I always, I very, give my cell phone out for texting, because again, during the days, it's hard to get a hold of me via phone. I always try and get back to people right as soon as I get the message. When I get the break to the next inspection or afterwards, I'll call people back. But texting is great. I can get back right away. Hey, we need a step inspection. When's your next availability? Or if you're in a competitive situation like you are now, with you'll go in against 7 other offers. One of the things you can do is find out when can I get you in, or whomever gets you in quicker. Say, hey, we'll do the inspection in 5 days. Where other people are coming in 15 days. Well, that's going to give you a leg up. So you want every advantage you can get. I typically book about 7 days out. In summer, even it gets longer than that. So it is imperative, to get on somebody's calendar pretty quickly. Also, as far as, since I am also a broker, I do have access to MLS. I've got access to Showtime. I've got Sentry Lock on my phone, so very easy for me to get into properties and even set things up. I can set up the inspections myself on Showtime. If there's, hey, I'll take care of it. You guys got enough to do. I'll confirm with everybody, make sure it's all done. Take as much off your plate as possible. Radon tests. You guys have gone through what radon test is. We do radon tests at all. I do prefer doing electronic testing, and I do prefer getting into the property at least 48 hours prior to the inspection, so that the test is done when we're there, and I can print out the results for everyone right on the spot. Which again is one thing I can do is I'll set up through the listing agent. I'm getting in the property. You guys don't have to do any of that. I'll set it up. Once I've set the radon up, I text you and say, hey, everything's set up. Radon's going. And then I also turn around the final report the same night. So that day you'll have the radon results, the final report, everything done that day we had the inspection.
Okay, that is huge, you guys, because if you are having a home inspection and they set up the radon testing at that inspection, then that inspector has to go back 48 hours later. So you're kind of waiting. You've got the inspection report maybe the next day, but you're waiting for the radon results. It's so nice to have that either before your inspection or at your inspection. That is a huge time saver. And the fact that you're a broker and you can get into Sentry Lock and all of those little things that take so much time away from you as an agent to get everything logistically going is huge. I love it.
And one of the things, go ahead, did you have a question, Grady?
No.
Oh, so one of the things also, I know you mentioned 3 hours for inspection. That's a good timeline. I typically will get to the property 30 minutes prior to the inspection time and do the exterior, especially sometimes in the bad weather and things. Nobody wants to be trekking through snow and the sub-zero temperatures, with me out there. When you and the client get there, I will get everybody caught up, what I found, go through the report, how I do things, explain the way everything goes forward. But when I get there, you make small talk. I talk to the clients, we get a good rapport going, but I work. I get there and I move and I say, hey, you can hang with me the whole time. You can mix and match. This is your time typically it's their second time coming through the property. You see so much more that second time you come through, because the first time you're limited to 30 minutes. I always encourage them, look around, snoop, open drawers, measure. I've got tape measure things. If you're not with me at the time and I want you to see some, I'll call you over. We're going to talk about it on the spot. If you're not with me and you see something, it's fresh in your mind, call me over. Let's attack it while it's on your mind. Or some people are over my shoulder the whole time. Some people say, hey, just do your thing. And at the end of the inspection, I load up the whole report on the iPad. I go through the whole report page by page with the client on site. So everything's fresh in their mind. And then I always send their final report over the same day. So it's best to keep it fresh in your mind and everybody's on the same page.
Question, Jeff, is there, in your years of doing home inspections, is there things that you have noticed that agents should or should not be doing while they're at that inspection? Any tips?
The agent, to be honest, sometimes the agents are like over my shoulder as well. And they're kind of almost too involved sometimes. And I like to educate the client on the home. Everybody's got different levels of knowledge, and I'll explain that to the client. I've dealt with people that can't change light bulbs to contractors. So I like to explain and walk with things. And sometimes the agents get a little too involved trying to overtalk me or show what they know, too much, which is fine. It's all a learning experience. Agents do like to walk with me because they learn, especially they can learn the whole process as they're going through. I love that, and I'm definitely not a know-it-all. If I don't know something, I'm going to say, hey, let's find this out. I'll find it out from the right people. I'm not going to try and BS you. But that's the biggest thing. Is just, sometimes they try and act like an inspector.
And you will get in very big fat trouble if you do, because you are not the inspector. So my rule of thumb is I shut up. It's really hard. I keep my mouth shut because the buyer is paying Jeff. The buyer is paying the home inspector for doing their job. They're not paying you to inspect that home. And you could be liable for misinformation. So
that's a great point. There's a story which I'll share with you guys one-on-one, but it was a Shore West. I shouldn't even say it. It was a deal that was a mold deal years ago in Fox Point that the agent actually got sued and lost, and it was a property, it was $1 million property, and the company got sued because the agent unfortunately spoke more than what she should have about mold that was in the property, because she heard it from the inspector or whomever. It was a big deal. So it's just, I always encourage, walk with me, talk with me, ask questions, especially early on. The more you learn, the more valuable you are. But I have a lot of agents now that are seasoned agents that, oh, Jeff, just get there. You open up the property. I'll come halfway through. I'll come towards the end. Some will come at the beginning just to make introductions. Hey, I'm here, but Jeff, you're really here for Jeff. They'll sit back or they'll go run some errands. They'll come back. You guys got a lot to do and sit there for 2.5 hours. A lot of agents will just get on the computer and do work. It's all whatever you're comfortable with. But
I highly suggest, and we train our agents to stay at that home inspection. Work there. It is a pain, but that's part of the transaction. The buyers are always going to feel like you left. And I know of one home inspector that particularly called me and said, you know what, Janine? Every inspection I do for Keller Williams, there's a difference between you, Keller Williams agents, and others. They show up at their inspections. And he said, I can't tell you how many times I've worked with other brokers and their agents don't show up and they are looking for their agent. So be there. And if you can't be there, send somebody to be there and just work, but be there. That's my recommendation.
That's a good point. Yeah, and I'm very clear with your clients, that this is their time. I'm there for them. There's no dumb questions. Ask questions. If inspection would take longer, because again, they have more, it's no big deal. We're not on a time frame. We're not construed to a certain time schedule here. We take as much time as we need to make them feel comfortable through the whole home. And then once we go through the inspection at the end, I always ask them, any questions? Do you want to go back through anything that you didn't feel comfortable with or you didn't understand? This is your one time to really learn this house and learn what you're getting, because a lot of these buyers might be their first time home buyer and they're spending a lot of money, and they're scared. It's a big thing for them. You really need to make them feel comfortable.
One other question, well, there's probably some more. How do detached garages come into play for inspections, Jeff?
I treat it just like a home. I completely evaluate it top to bottom, inside to out. Again, I'll get up on the roof, test all the electrical, all the mechanicals inside. It's the same. It's not anything different. Even if there's an outbuilding too, you'll get outside, you'll get detached garages. You might get a property that's got an outbuilding. I do the same thing. I treat it all part of the inspection. It's all part of the property in my eyes.
So when you start an inspection, do you start outside first, do the exterior, and then go inside, or what's your protocol?
Yeah, correct. So what I do is I will start outside. I'll get there typically about 30 minutes prior. I'll do several laps around the outside. Again, I've got a routine that I follow because I've been doing it for so long, and it just kind of makes it for me easier, and really so I shouldn't miss anything. But I'll do several laps on the outside where I'm looking for different things around each lap. Then typically I will do the roof. Either get up there or we'll drone it. Next would be the garage or any outside outbuildings, and do the same process. By that time, then the client usually shows up. I will walk them through everything, have them sign some paperwork, and then I start top to bottom. I like to first thing get right up in the attic, and I'll go up in the attic. As long as I can get in the attic, I like to get up there regardless and crawl around or look around, because that one back corner that I say, oh, I can't get to that. That's going to be that bad corner that we didn't see. It's going to cause problems. So I want to make sure I can see every inch I can get into, and then top to bottom, I go room to room, starting the bathrooms, and then, checking water pressure, checking water temperature, checking windows, doors, outlets, everything. And you just go top to bottom. Everything in that room gets checked. Every outlet, and for me, sometimes I'm a little anal in my reports. I put everything in there. Even the smaller stuff, but I explained to the client, this is stuff that's more of a checklist for you. We're looking for big ticket items, safety issues, major concerns, things that are going to be a detriment to the foundation of this home. The smaller things are more things that, here's a checklist for you. What did Jeff say again to the inspection? No, here it is, pictured, documented. When you get in here, things that you should really take care of in the next year or two. So very, very clear cut. And the reports I have are very easy to explain. They're very easy to read. The third page of the report is a complete summary page. It has different sections set up where everything is going to be for things not operating, major concerns, deferred cost items, safety issues, things you should just monitor. So it's real easy and clean cut. So. And then I always end down in the basement, lower level, and that's where I'll walk the clients through where their main water shutoff is for the whole home, where their outside hose bib shutoffs are. I'll walk them through the operation of the water heater and temperature control, operation of the furnace and how to change the filters on them. Their main electrical panel, I'll open up the panel and show them the wiring inside if there's any concerns with it and what to do there. And just make sure they understand it all and they're comfortable. And they get a lot of information. And I always tell people, I said, don't freak out because I'm overloading you. Take this all in, sleep on it. You got questions next day, get a hold of me. I always say, if you leave me a message or leave me an email or a text, I always get right back, but a voicemail or an email, so if I don't get back to you in 24 hours, something happened. I didn't get it. Weekends sometimes may be a little different because if I'm up north at my land, I don't get great service unless I'm up in my tree stand. So I'll usually crawl up there once a day just to see what I get for stuff in there. But I always get back to you.
Jeff, what is the best way to get a hold of you to schedule a home inspection?
Yeah, texting is always the best. My office number forwards into my cell phone, so that's always a good way too. But if you need it pretty quick, texting is something I can get back. Then I've got a hard copy too, and we're going back and forth. So that's always the best way to do it too. Then we've got each other's contacts. Okay, we're good to go here. Here's the address. I can, when I'm on sites, clients typically, I'm not going to sit there and be texting all the time. But if I need, my phone goes off, I always, clients are pretty, I'm just responding to this test quick, or if I can do it while I'm testing something. So text is always the best.
And what is your phone number?
My cell phone number direct is 414-403-0924.
And what is the name of your company?
Advantage Home Inspection Services, LLC. I will drop some more information off at the office with my cards and brochures and things and pens. I don't have my cell phone on my card for obvious reasons for clients. They don't need everybody texting me as far as the home buyers. But seriously, that's the best way. And it's especially when you're starting out, when you're looking at homes with people and you just have a question on something, just text me. Just take a picture of it. Hey, this Jeff. Hey Jeff, this is Betsy. I got a question for you on this. Can you explain this to us, or you think this is a concern? Just send it to me. I'll get back to you. So it's the best way. It's all communication. To me, there's no excuse for poor communication in today's world. People don't get back to you for a couple of days. There's no excuse for that. So I try and keep that pretty clear. Just as we're talking, I'm laughing. I'm getting a bunch of texts from a couple from agents. So any questions on the process? I know I went through a lot of stuff, and I wish I had a sample of the inspection report, which now I guess I know how to my son helped me get these pictures last night off of some of the old inspections. But I guess I could have put an inspection report to go through on here. But it's a pretty simple process the way I use it, and a lot of the verbiage that I use in the summary page is something that you can take word for word and transfer it onto the amendment when you're if you're going back to seller for something, and make it real easy. Again, since I understand both sides of the transaction, the way I word it's very simple and very straightforward. Amendment 1, boom. We recommend a licensed basement contractor evaluate all basement walls, horizontal cracks on south walls, and so it's you don't have to make up anything that way.
Do any of you guys have any questions? Sarah McCabe just said this was gold. Yes.
I'm glad it helped. But please, I can't stress enough. Don't ever be scared. Feel free to reach out seriously anytime. There's no bad questions. There's nothing that I know clients don't like worse is having somebody thinks they know it all and try to make something up like that. Since I still do to this day. If I don't know something, I'm at an inspection and I just I haven't seen this, or I don't this right. I've got contractors on my phones. I'll text them direct and say, hey, what is this? I'd rather say, hey, I'll get back to you and I'll find out about this and try to make something up and be wrong. Then you really look bad. So
I have a question.
It's imperative to have a great relationship with the home inspector that you can trust, you can recommend to your clients with confidence, one that is going to be relatable. I can tell you there are some great inspectors out there, but their ability to talk to clients is zilch, and they will kill a deal. They will kill a deal. And some deals are going to be killed because they should. But the ability to converse with your clients is extremely important.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of good inspectors out there, and then there's guys that I wouldn't let inspect my doghouse.
Right.
And I don't get into the politics. I don't go to the monthly meetings anymore because it's all an ego fest to a lot of these guys. I just take care of the people that's the clients in front of me. And again, this is my 18th year doing this. I do between 375 and 400 a year. And it's a lot of it. My training is all experience. I never say I've seen everything, because the next day I'll see something that, where did this come from? But it does play a huge part in on the agent end too. That, and obviously the more you get into this, you're going to see stuff and it's going to become second nature, and you're going to be able to point stuff out very easily. And that's just gold. That's valuable to your client.
Well, I can say Jeff is my favorite inspector. Very, very easy to talk to, explains things very well, and is not an alarmist. And it's awesome.
Appreciate that.
I have a quick question about mice. Seems like from what I've read, mice can get in anywhere in the house. So if you notice mice droppings, what do you suggest people do?
Yeah.
Because they can get in anywhere from the attic to the basement. So
Yeah, I mean, I've seen situations where they'll run up downspouts and get in the little crevice on your soffit or something, you know, in the gutters. If it's a real rampant, you know, where they're just all over the place, then we need to get a pest inspector in there and really look at the whole enclosure of the house and look for any gaps. But that's one of those things they can get into, you know, something that big. They're, you know, they only have the cartilage and they can get to anything. To me, it all depends on if it's just a little bit here or there. Typically, you can get rid of that with proper traps or however you want to treat them that way.
Right.
But if they're all over, then we need to get an expert in there and really envelope the whole house. Look at spots that could potentially get in, and sometimes we can walk around and do that ourselves. But yeah, they can get in anywhere. And if it's a wooded lot, obviously it's going to be a lot more highly possible they're going to get in. If it's a city, you know, where it's a nice neighborhood type thing, you don't see them as much.
I had a friend who had a bird feeder outside their house for 20 years, and they had it next to a deck. And when they rehabbed the deck, they discovered like a whole colony of mice.
Oh,
that's a great point, Alex. That's yeah, that's the things. And I said the house we used to be in 3 years ago, we're sitting there, and all of a sudden, and it was a wooded lot, and we're sitting there watching TV, and all of a sudden, a couple run across the kitchen floor, just out of the blue. And we're like, you know, just one of those things that you just don't want to see. It just kind of freaks you out. So that's an important thing.
yeah. I have a quick question. In this day of computer databases, like Carfax, for example, where there's a history of, you know, what repairs have been done to a car, do they have anything like that for homes these days?
The only thing you're going to be able to find that is if you go to the municipality and look at any
Permits.
Like permits, yeah.
Building permits that were picked up. And that's a great point. Thanks, Thomas. Too, because you know, you get into homes sometimes that they remodel or do this, and did they ever bring permits up? Did they ever, you know, have it inspected that way? And that's the only way you're going to find that out is by going to the municipality. There are websites you can usually go on that will give that information as well. I know the city of Milwaukee has one where you can put the address in and see what permits have been pulled for that property. So that's one way, but it's not like a Carfax, unfortunately, where, you know, you're going on that end of it by the you know, the seller disclosing honestly what they've done. But then again, that's also my job, is to come through and really look at this stuff and see, you know, estimated age of roof shingles, things like that, or how the work was done. I not only look at what work's done, but I look at the quality of the work. It's just because of my background. I'm a little anal that way. You know, when trim's not put on properly, there's gaps, you can say, and I'll be blunt. I'll tell the clients, and you guys too, you know, I won't say it's junk, but I say, man, this just wasn't done very professionally. And it's very obvious, you know, and it could be a homeowner. There's a lot of homeowners out there that think they can do everything, and some shouldn't be picking up a screwdriver. And then there's some that are very high quality people. So it's the process, but there's nothing except the city sites are physically going down the city and seeing what permits have been pulled.
And also, if the property has been on the market, or if it's been traded several times over the past 10 years or so, I always look at the history in MLS, go back to the last sold, check the document section, see if that condition report from the last sale was still posted. And I like to compare what that condition report was to the one that is current, because then I can kind of see what have they done. If they disclose the roof was leaking and did the new owners put a new roof on? You know, so I kind of have as much information as I can.
That's a great point, Janine. I didn't even think of anything like that. That's a great point, going back to the history.
Yeah. And one other thing I just want to say, if you're working with the seller and you're going through their house and there are some cracks or, you know, whatever, and one of the first things they'll say is, we want to paint the basement. We always say, don't paint the basement, because even if you're not hiding anything, which, you know, most of them aren't, it will appear that you are. So leave the basement walls and the floors as is. Period, the end. They don't like it, but that's what we recommend and hope that they follow. Don't paint the basement walls or floors. Leave it open.
So unfortunately, I've got to get to an inspection, and one thing you'll learn about me is I hate to be late.
Yes, thank you.
Any additional questions before we go? Okay.
So next week, you guys, and thank you very much, Jeff. Class don't leave yet. We really appreciate your time.
And again, if you think of questions later on, text me. That's the best way. But yeah, good luck moving forward, and whatever I can do to help, please let me know.
Thank you,
Jeff.
Okay, thanks.
So next week, you guys, we're going to go over a home inspection report. We're going to look through it A to Z, and then we're going to have an amendment attached to that home inspection report. And you guys can kind of work through it with us. It will already be done, but it will give you an idea of here's what the report is, and this is how this transaction ended with that inspection. So I think that will be very helpful for you to move forward. And then any questions you have regarding Part B of the home inspection. Okay?
I have one question before we leave.
Yes.
I have a potential buyer right now, wants to go see a home, but she doesn't want to sign the buyer's agreement just yet. So I agreed to show her this one home. Now, can I still release the condition report, what's on that, or private remarks if I don't have a buyer's agency agreement yet?
You can release the condition report, but you cannot comment on the home whatsoever. If she's asking your opinion or what do you think, that's why I always bring the buyer agency agreement with. Yep. And say, you know what, I would love to help you out, but I really do need to have this signed. Because
what about the private remarks?
I don't give anything private.
Oh, okay.
Nope.
So just the condition report because it's listed.
You're a door opener.
Okay.
Consider yourself a door opener.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nothing wrong with that but you can get them to sign something once you open up that door, but you're just a door opener.
Okay.
Just keep saying that. I'm a door opener. Until you sign this, then you're my client. Yeah. Awesome. Any other questions, you guys? Informative?
Very.
Okay, good.
Always informative.
Oh, great. So
next, that was great. Janine, can I ask you a question?
Oh, heck yeah.
First of all, thanks for bringing him on. That was fantastic.
That was Connie.
Okay, thanks, Connie, if she's still here.
No.
Okay, I know I've asked you this before. I have a client, my never selling condo.
Yes.
We had the accepted offer, fell through, but there was an inspection. A few things came up, he's like, that was ridiculous. We don't have to divulge that. I'm not going to deal with anything until we have another offer and another inspector comes through. What? What do I do with this guy?
He needs to amend the condition report and disclose it. Disclose. And you know what? He may not think it's a big issue, and it might not be, but you can let your seller know that that report follows him for 7 years. And the fact that he is now in knowledge of these things, whether they're a big deal or not, to cover his CYA, he needs to disclose it. So he is not liable and he will not be sued. And period, the end. Just say, yep, I know it's crazy, but let's go ahead and disclose it. I personally have listed a few real estate attorneys' homes, and it is hysterical. The condition report has 25 pages. They disclose that a screw is loose.
You've said that, and I told him that. I told him that, and he's like, yeah, no.
So then there's also a form that if he refuses to disclose, you as an agent needs to disclose it.
Okay, so what is that form?
I don't have it off the top of my head, but I will get it. I'll get it over to you. So, and I actually listed a house or sold a house out in Mequon where it was the agent attached her visual inspection on top of the condition report, because it's exactly what happened. Something fell apart and she's not going to be held liable because she was aware of it. I will get that over to you. Because that was,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank
In
you.
fact, hold on. Let me see if I can, if you hold on for just a second. Let me see if I can pull it up for you right now, and you guys can ask me any other questions that came up. Because I know you have them. Anything happened this week that you guys need help with? Somebody's got to have something.
I have something.
I knew it. Thank God.
So I did get an accepted offer on a house in Mequon. We beat out people, blah, blah, blah. Yay. Yeah, thank you. Or in Thiensville, sorry. And I have a unique client that has a lot of money and is planning on gutting the place and all that kind of stuff, and was very comfortable with, she has no contingencies, including home inspection. She waived home inspection, fine and great. But I did learn after the fact that we do, as agents, we do have to acknowledge that, like in either in a notice that buyer then, says, yes, I'm aware I had the right to have a home inspection, but I waived it.
Yes. Yes.
Or put it in like the additional provisions with. But like, I didn't realize there was another step if you waive inspection that you have to do. So now I have to issue a notice to her, which isn't a big deal. She'll sign it. But I didn't realize that was a thing.
Yes, that's a thing, because what if they didn't have that sign and they go back and say, I wanted a home inspection? So having everything in writing. So it is called a visual inspection form. It's a WRA form. That's all it's called, visual inspection form. And it goes into the specifics of the report. She filled things in that was not outlined in the condition report. And she circled listing agent and signed it. And all parties then signed it on the offer. Visual.
Okay, thank you.
Report. Yep. So that's what you're going to do. Yep.
Janine, I have a question.
Yeah.
We just got an accepted offer from my buyer. Similar to Bethany, they were waiving everything, which is fine. That's in the offer to purchase. It's a cash offer, and I submitted a bank statement with the offer. I also had put in there that we could give them written verification in 5 days if needed in the offer, after 5 days of acceptance. I don't remember what line it is in the offer. But my mentor had told me just to ask the agent if the bank statement was enough or if they needed a letter from a bank. The agent isn't getting back to me, and I'm at the 5 days now.
I think you're fine. They haven't asked for anything. I usually just attach their whatever account that they're using, or it could be a few accounts, and make sure that those account numbers are blacked out. And then I send it along with the offer. That's it.
Okay. All right. This agent, he just does not respond to anything.
Well, then too bad, so sad.
Okay. I just want to make sure that I'm not liable to give him something else.
No, because he hasn't asked for it.
Okay.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
So obviously trying to get competitive, and it seems like more and more cash offers, no inspection, yada, yada is happening. But I have all these like cute little first time home buyers, and I just don't feel comfortable at all even broaching the subject of no inspection. So another agent told me about this home warranty plan that they could purchase from, I think it was called like UHP or UPH or something, and it covers any pre-existing unknown conditions. And so like they could buy this home warranty plan for $700, do no inspection, and then if anything comes up once they move into the house, they have this home warranty plan. But once again, I was like, oh, I don't like this, but is this what other people are doing? What are all these people doing with no inspections, or how are they protecting?
I don't like that idea. I mean, honestly, I would say that you don't know what they're not seeing, right? I don't waive a home inspection unless the buyers are savvy. Maybe it's not their first house, but the one time I can tell you that my parents waived home inspection on a house and I couldn't believe it and they thought it was a pretty solid house, was an absolute nightmare. So I just think it's risky. Unless you're dealing yeah.
What I did instead is I put like, we have it in an inspection contingency, but we won't ask for any repairs under $2,000. And I thought, well, that protects us. No, you don't like that?
I love it.
Oh, okay. That way they know we're not going to be nitpicky, but like, should there be something serious, that's when we might have to address things.
I like that.
We got
Bridget.
rejected, but I thought it was great.
Yeah,
So
I think I like it.
I found out on one of my deals that RWS, you know, our home warranty company that a lot of us use, they also have like a tack on policy that's specific to like foundation and structure. That I don't know if anyone knows about that. I didn't know about it until like we put that order in, and then they sent this next, it's NXT, it's from RWS, and it's on the foundation and structure. So I thought that was interesting.
You know, that's a really good topic that maybe we could have that home warranty rep come in, talk to us on productivity. I'll put that on our agenda.
That would be great, because it's just, I think it's just another layer of, you know, protection. It's a tack onto the addition, onto the initial home warranty. And this covers like literally everything, foundation up to the roof rafters.
I love it. Okay, I'm on it.
How much more does that cost?
Pardon?
How much more does that cost?
I don't know.
It's on square footage again, and there's like kind of like a couple different options depending on, you know, square footage and then how many years. I think it's like 1, 3, and 5 year options. And I mean, it's not bad. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, if you spend another $700 and you get maybe like 3 years of coverage for foundational stuff, I think it's worth it.
Yeah, let's look into that.
Okay.
For next week, since we're going over inspections, can we also include that form to fill out if they want to waive their rights and the verbiage that goes along with it?
You betcha, Toyota.
Thank you.
Okay, you guys, make it a great Thursday. Thank you for all participating. It was a really great class.
Thanks.
Thanks, Janine.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.